Welcome to the What Paramedics Want podcast series of Inside EMS, sponsored by Cebollero. Whether replacing radio reports, alerting specialty teams, or managing mass casualty incidents, Cebollero simplifies communication, one tool every day, regardless of the event. Ladies and gentlemen, kids of all ages, we'd like to welcome you to year 12 of Inside EMS. I am your host, Chris Cebollero. We are back, we are live, and we are starting year 12 in 2025 of the Inside EMS podcast. And here he is, my friend, the one they call Kelly Grayson. Kelly Grayson.
How are you, brother?
Good, man. Happy New Year.
Starting 2025 off on a happy note?
Yeah, it ain't too bad. I haven't killed anybody yet, so that's a plus.
That was my New Year's resolution. Try not to kill anybody.
Try not to kill anybody.
You know, try not to snap somebody's neck for annoying me in 2025. So far, so good.
Well, remember, people are annoying you because you're allowing people to annoy you.
I know that.
You control all that.
I'm a placid dude. I do not get spun up very easily.
And I'm Mae West. Okay, so
hello, sailor.
Come up and see me sometime.
See me sometime.
That's really dating yourself, isn't it? But
yes,
Mae West was an actress in the 20s that was pretty hot. All right, Kelly, we'll let you set it up. What we got today?
We come to the Humbled Medic blog via Ginger Locke. Our friend Ginger Locke posted this on Facebook, a link to the Humbled Medic blog. We'll post a link in the show notes, but it's Believe, Leadership Lessons from Ted Lasso for EMS Educators. And I found it was wonderful. It speaks a lot of truths about what we need to do, not only as educators, but as EMS professionals as well. If you haven't watched Ted Lasso, have you seen the show, man?
I've never seen the show, man.
Oh, you need to go fill that gaping hole in your pop culture education, son, because it's a masterclass in humanity and servant leadership. I mean, professional athletic coaches were started following this thing and sharing the episodes with each other. It's like, hey, check this out. This is kind of like a master class in coaching. And in this, the Humbled Medic writes about how those lessons from Ted Lasso can be adapted for EMS educators. And one of the big ones, number one on the list, is be curious, not judgmental. It's a quote from Walt Whitman. And there's a scene in Ted Lasso where he's playing the bad guy Rupert in darts. And he quotes that there, be curious, not judgmental. How often are we judgmental in EMS, or we make these assumptions about people because it's the 3 o'clock in the morning call for something that's been going on a month or 2 months.
You know, it's funny that you say this, because I was actually talking to a friend of mine who's an ER nurse, and we talk about the old days of where we came from and where we've gotten to in our career. And one of the things that she talks about is the fact that she was always judgmental when these people would come into her ER, right? And I got to tell you, Kelly, I mean, we are. I mean, we go even as far as to say, we're not giving you pain medicine because I think you're drug seeking. Well, what right do we have to say that to people? And something that I've said in the past as well, but what right do we have to be judgmental of people, to say, I'm not doing this for you because I don't think you deserve it? But I think in EMS, not only with our patients, but I think also with our peers, we are very judgmental of them, how they do their medicine. And I'm a better paramedic than they are. I'm a better EMT than they are. I wouldn't let them work on my dog. I'm not calling 911 because I know who's on call, on duty today. And, but we're very, very judgmental of everything that goes on around us. And, this goes into, cognitive bias and confirmation bias, and it's just a horrible place for us to be.
Yep.
But we're there, and we're judgmental on everybody.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You don't know what brought the patient to this point, and we see a drug addict, we see a psych patient, we see a frequent flyer, and you don't know what brought them to that point that the ambulance is their recourse. But it's probably something we could identify with if we were curious enough to ask and to delve deeper instead of just treating them like the latest inconvenience. There's another
Wait a minute, wait a
scene.
minute. If we were curious enough to ask, or if we were
Curious,
compassionate enough to ask?
compassionate. Well, I think that the curiosity goes with compassion if you're interested in hearing their story. There's another scene in that show where Roy Kent, the gruff midfielder, he's subbing for Ted in a press conference after one of their players had an altercation with a fan. And he said, none of us know what's going on in each other's lives. So, for Isaac to do what he did, even though it was wrong, I give him love. And that's the lesson we could all learn. We don't know what's going on with other people. We need to look at them at their give them a clean slate and don't prejudge them.
Yeah, it's funny that you say that because, I was talking to a friend over the holiday and he was just a little bit weird. And I'm
Yeah,
like, dude, what's going on with you? Are you
yeah,
are you kidding me? Is this the way you're really gonna be? And he was just very somber and very curt. And he goes,
yeah.
I'm sorry, he goes, my grandmother died this morning.
Oh man. Yeah,
But he had some things going on. He wasn't sharing it, but I was like, you're being a dick, you're being a bit of an ass.
yeah.
And but it was really I had no right. I was being judgmental. Yes.
That's right. That's
So
right.
all right, number two, taking on taking on a challenge is a lot like riding a horse. I haven't seen the show, so if you know it, go ahead and tell us what this was about.
The line in there is if you're comfortable while you're doing it, you're probably doing it wrong. And that's true. If you want to grow, you need to challenge yourself. If you want your students to grow, you need to challenge them and not just teach rote memorization and enough to pass the test. Give them the tools they need to learn even when they're gone from your class and they've graduated. And Ted says if you're comfortable while you're doing it, you're probably doing it wrong. How many times have we said in this podcast, if you're the smartest guy in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah.
And that lesson to keep challenging yourself and seeking growth and moving forward is what it's all about.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of great quotes that go into this. There's so much that can be unpacked here. But number one is a great quote by Les Brown that says, to get something you've never gotten, you've got to do something you've never done. And,
Agreed.
it's your comfort level that keeps you in the comfort zone that doesn't allow you to get outside. And Tony Robbins will say, all learning happens outside your comfort zone. And one of the things that we have
Yeah.
to be ready to do is to put ourselves in a position where we can be the best version of ourselves. And I was on the kick
Yeah.
the last part of 24 to talk about self-mastery and becoming the best version of ourselves and how we're our own worst enemy when it comes to us getting to
Yeah.
self-actualization. And if we ever get to self-actualization in that Maslow's hierarchy of needs. So this is really interesting. So one of the things that I think we should do is we should challenge you right now. This is the first show of 2025.
Mm-hmm.
What's the one stretch goal that you out there want to do? And you need to be able to put yourself in a position to try to make that happen. And it should be hard, but use 2025 to get there. And I'd love to know what they are, man. Send us an email at the show at
Yeah.
ems1.com if we've inspired you to kind of do something. And we'll check in on you every so often to make sure you're doing okay.
And well, I'm going to throw that at you before we do our next item on the list. What's your challenge? What's your stretch goal for 2025?
Yeah, I'm going to try to not die during 2025. And no,
Oh, that's a big challenge.
for me, and I know Kelly, you've kind of tried to help me out. I'm working on my doctorate,
Yep.
and I'm going to probably be finished in maybe June or July.
Good.
And it's killing me, man. It's taking a lot out of me.
I know.
And if I had quit in me, I would have quit. But it's moving me into an area that I never thought I would be in. So that's it for me. But what about you? What's yours?
I'm going to hit 235 pounds in 2025, and I'm going to publish at least two more novels. So
Are they real novels or those 15-page things you do?
I don't do 15-page things. I don't do 15-page things. I do some short stories, more
Okay.
than 15 pages.
Am I
They're
going to have a
10,000 words or so.
piece in these novels or what? You going to put me in some of these novels? What are you going to
Yeah,
do?
I'll
Whatever,
redshirt you in
man.
one
You
of
owe
them.
me.
Would you
You owe
like
me.
me to redshirt you in a novel?
Yeah, you think you should. All right.
I'll give you a good gory death. Item three on leadership lessons is the Diamond Dogs approach. If you're a Ted Lasso fan, you know the Diamond Dogs is Ted's council of trusted advisors. All the men, it's a men's support group, supporting each other, helping each other out, offering advice and listening when they need to talk. And the Diamond Dogs mount up is how they convene each one of those sessions, and it's pretty touching. These guys just lay their souls bare and talk about, what's going on with them, and be perfectly honest in a safe space. The question I ask is, are you that way for your coworkers or your students or your partner? Are you their safe space? I've said before, when we talk about mental health and wellness, you'd have your partners back in a fight. Well, what if the fight is
With your
with
partner.
with his own thoughts?
Yeah.
Do we do that enough for our coworkers and our colleagues and peers? I think we all need some diamond dogs and a support system to get us through the tough times in this job.
Yeah, and I think that one of the things too is I think we all need our own and we talk all the time, and I forget where this came from. I certainly didn't develop it, but we're the CEO of our own life.
Yeah,
And we should have a board of directors, just like any other CEO that helps us run that, right? And it may
yeah,
be people that you have to vent to. It may be people that you want to ask advice to. It may be people that you want to emulate. It may be people that are role models, or I guess that's emulate. But who do you turn to when you need
yeah,
someone to turn to? In EMS, a lot of times we're really kind of good at compartmentalizing our thoughts and our fears and our challenges and our mistakes and our
yeah,
failures, and we got to stop it. We got to stop it. The days of if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen are long gone. And we've talked about this on this show over and over and over again that we really need to be able to, um, have someone that we can turn to. But
yeah.
before we get to number four, Kelly, let's go ahead and take a quick break.
Hmm.
And on the other side of the break, we're going to bring you four and five. We're going to bring you some closing thoughts for 2025. But let's go ahead and play that ad.
And now a word from our sponsor.
Pulsera scales to meet your dynamic communication needs. From routine patient alerts to managing large-scale emergencies, every responder and clinician connect seamlessly. Familiar yet powerful, Pulsera streamlines your response from routine transfers to regional disasters. It's one tool every day, regardless of the event. Discover more at pulsera.com. We are back and we are bad. Here we are, Inside EMS, first show of 2025, one of 50 this year. We usually take off 2 weeks at the end of the year. 50 shows we're going to add to our already large collection of shows. But number four, Kelly, as we're talking about the top five lessons from Ted Lasso, leadership lessons from Ted Lasso. Every choice is a chance. I love that.
Yep.
Even though I haven't seen the show, I always talk about it's up to us to create opportunities. Or I guess it's seven, not five, but the top seven. So, but
Yeah.
every choice has a chance. We've got to be able to create the opportunities we want for success. Opportunities create success. Success creates money. Money creates wealth. But what is this about?
you know, uh, Ted's philosophy is, he doesn't give up. He doesn't give up on his players, on his coaches, on people he believes in. Doesn't give up, and he'll give them. He knows the power of a second chance. There's a quote in the show where he tells Coach Beard, he said, "Coach, I hope that if none of us or all of us are judged by our weakest moments, but rather by the strength we show when we ask for help, or the strength we show when we're given a second chance." And there's a touching moment in season 3 toward the end where they give the prodigal son Nate a second chance to come back. He has done Ted dirty, dirty when he left and got his own team, and Ted welcomes him back at the end, and that's a pretty good character arc for Nate, because he doubted himself, and he's plagued with self-doubt throughout the entire series. And Ted was the first guy that believed in him, And when he finally came back, you see Nate grow. Every choice is a chance, and you take you make that choice well and take every chance you get. And if you fail, there will be another chance come along.
Yeah. And it's not the fact that you fail. If you're failing, that means you're trying. Name the
The
one
only
thing
way to fail is to quit trying.
Yeah, the only name one thing you ever did the first time that you did great. I mean, I can't do it. I've
Yeah.
failures left and right. So I think that's a good one. All right, number 5. What do you got?
The power of believe. Nancy has this poster on her podcast studio wall. Believe. That's his mantra, and his players buy into it. Believe, believe, believe. And at one point, Nate tears the thing down and tears it into shreds, and it just wrecks the team. And he makes the point is like, that's just a sign. Belief is something innate, but ultimately, if you want to make great leaps in anything, most of the times it's a leap of faith. You have to believe, most especially when there's nothing really to believe in. There's no evidence that you should, no impetus that you should buy into something. That's what belief is just taking it on faith. And often those leaps are rewarded.
Yeah, it's interesting. And one of the things that you have to believe in is yourself, right? So this
Yeah.
is where your self-esteem and your self-confidence comes in. And you hear the term fake it till you make it. And I don't like the term fake it till you make it.
No.
I think that a lot of us can just be who we are and walk into something new and say, I'm going to do well here. And maybe you fail and maybe you make
Yeah.
mistakes and there are hurdles and there are speed bumps, but you're the one that has to get out of your own way to ensure that you're getting outside your comfort zone. There's
Yeah.
no rules here, man. It's just right. So
That's
you
right.
have to be able to do what is best for you without anybody's interaction that's negative.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
negative because they aren't doing it. You be
Yeah.
positive doing what you want to do. Number 6, biscuits make everything better. I have no idea what that means.
Ted weasels his way into Rebecca's confidence. He brings her biscuits. In England, those are cookies. He makes homemade cookies and brings them every morning. Biscuit, or every Monday morning, it's biscuits with the boss. And it's just a small gesture of kindness, and one of many in the series. That sort of thing, some tangible effort, some tangible act of kindness, means the world to people. We can all say, when we hear someone like your friend whose mother had just died, grandmother, yeah.
Grandmother.
In social media, we say, oh, sending thoughts and prayers. That means nothing. What does mean something is a phone call. Hey, man, are you okay? Or sending flowers. We had, in Cajun country and in the South, we know that covered dish at the wake, says everything you need to say. It says more than flowers, offer to babysit kids, those sorts of things. When people are having tough times, those little small gestures like that mean the world to people who really need it. And we've got several of them more in the blog post in humbledmedic.com, but you should check it out because Ted Lasso and the points he makes here is like a master class in humanity and servant leadership. And it's something that everyone from athletic coaches to educators, supervisors, and paramedics and their peers can learn a lesson from. But hey, you've heard what we think. We'd like to hear what you think. What is your biggest lesson you can draw from Ted Lasso? We'd like to hear those thoughts at the show at ems1.com. And for myself and co-host Chris Cebollero, we're looking forward to seeing more of you in 2025. Catch you guys next week.